welcome guys to game number 1, and it's gonna be finally a ZVP. Haven't seen this yet in our show matches, always had Terran, and let's check out our players. Gonna be eXo.XtinC here on the yellow Zerg, on these Mecha Zerg. Really cool skins, honestly. And we're having a little lag issues maybe from eXo.Specs' side. On the other hand, it's gonna be eXo.Specs on this Golden Age Protoss. And what's really cool about this skin pack is the fact that it's like the old StarCraft. Look at the probes, they look so ancient, they look so sharp, to say the least. And now we do see Specs expanding already, putting up the wall into the second base. And with a ZVP, more often than not, you want to try and seal in your base. You don't want to let those Zerglings destroy your poor probes. In the meantime, already we have eXo.XtinC here starting the expansion up, and not really much going on here. Gonna be one of the probes scouting, bringing a little mineral, giving a mineral offering to his clanmate. So I don't know how the clans or the teams work properly, but I believe in professional StarCraft, when it's a clan or team based thing, it's always 1v1s. And they rack points for the team, and whichever has the more points wins out the whole series, that kind of thing. Also, if you want to see them maybe 2v2 and stuff like that, streaming from a laptop, always. My whole setup, the Overwatch scene is powered by a laptop, dude. Always been. Oh yeah, we're getting some lags frames. So you guys lagging too? It's okay on my end, but it is what it is. Yeah. Getting some lag. Am I the only one getting lag spikes? Just want to ask. Anyway, so let's actually talk about the game. We do see a Stalker already in production. Gonna be chrono boosted out, allowing the Protoss to actually go for a try to get these overlords, as well as just hide behind the base. He can easily macro up and wall up with a gateway in the middle, and also put up a zealot after moving up a forge maybe. Just however, with the problem with Specs right now, just having this Archosis pylon, very dangerous. In the meantime, Zergling speed is going to come out. The meta boost will allow the Zerglings to get all the way across the map very quickly. Creep spread, not so much a priority here for eXtinC. Gonna go for the third base instead, and look at it, the queen finally comes on out on the second base. We might see, oh, you're gonna go? Bye, love you. We might see eXo.XtinC finally start it off. Interesting enough, he's not conjoining these two bases with one another. The Overlord there staying alive for the time being. Of course, we have Warp Gate research up, and is this gonna be a Stargate to start things off? Sup Pestamon, sup Yu Terror, welcome. It's time to see this EXO fight. Metabolic boost is out and about, and let's follow those Zerglings in their magnificent path. In the meantime, here comes the attack, and the Adept in the way. Perfect positioning here. Usually you see Bob the Zealot, the Speedo one, in the middle, but instead it's gonna be the Adept. Really cool. And the Adept very good against light units with the glaives. Very strong. Now we see some Zealots being pumped as well as an Adept, and this is gonna be the standard harass here from the Protoss. The Adept and the Stalker just holding position. Perfect positioning here from the two Protoss units, and we have the shield battery as well, allowing the Adept to be as tanky as it can. Warp Gate now gonna be coming on up. And in terms of no workers have been killed so far, but in terms of worker supply, it's 2 bases against 3. The Protoss still keeping up for the time being. We have a Twilight Cancel now being built up, and of course we also start things off with the Oracle. Gonna put up the beam, get 2 drones so far. He needs to micro that though to get those worker kills. 4 kills! That is a Oracle already paying for itself. Gonna back on away and start to recharge its shields. Will we see some Spore Crawlers built? Yes, we will. Into the second and into the first base. Really good timing there from eXo.XtinC. Not losing too many drones in that fight. He Phoenix though is out into play, and this is gonna be a Sky Toss army here so far from eXo.Specs. That's interesting to note that the Phoenix gonna be on Overlord duty, and this is gonna be really bad here for XTinC because he doesn't really have the tech. He doesn't have a tech to deal with his air besides the Spore Crawlers. He's gonna go for the mutation already into the lair, hopefully get some Hydralisk or hopefully get some Mulelist from the Spire. In the meantime, the Phoenix just flying around, getting some Overlord kills, spots out maybe the Zerglings moving on in the meantime. So here comes the Oracle, just charging on, gets one more kill before it dies. Finally, the Oracle gets picked off, not foreseeing its untimely demise. The Zerglings are scanning around, looking for a third from the Protoss, looking for maybe a proxy as well, as the Phoenix of course gets another set of kills. Zealot now in the way, and is that what you can do? Can you actually mix match your skins? That's really cool. So we have the robot Zealot there, but that's interesting. We have a Warp Prism as well, just floating around in this fight. Where will he go for the drop? Doesn't have an Immortal loaded though, so it'll just be a proxy Warp Gate, Warp in rather from the Warp Gates. He does have 4, so he can go for a quick little Zealot engage if he goes at the corner of XTinC's base. XTinC though unaware of what is about to happen. No, Specs is gonna drop it in here all the way to the top part. Just warp in some High Templar, getting the Templar archives pretty early, and he's gonna go for the Archon. Interesting enough, he's researching Psionic Storm, but he's gonna go for the double harassment Archon. That's gonna be very, very interesting in this fight. Just can easily get rid of the Zerglings, but now the Roaches are in play here for eXo.XtinC, and the army and worker supply so far so good. Warp Prism now gonna load in those 2 Archons instead of the Immortal drop. It's gonna be an Archon drop. Will the Spore Crawler see it? Oh, by at the edge of its line of sight. It's gonna go for the drop in, and the Archons now wrecking havoc. Power overwhelming. Zealots are gonna be warped on in as well, forcing the main to retreat. These Zealots, however, look like they're gonna be on a one-way trip, and whoa, it's gonna have Carapace researched up as well. In the meantime, upgrades-wise, the Archons doesn't have anything, no shields and crease. The Zealots now get picked off and warp back into the Dragoon nest of Ire. In the meantime, the Archons just chilling with, with each other. The Queen's getting a few free hits, and we do see +1 on to Rage coming on up, as well as Glal Rescue Reconstitution, allowing the Roaches to actually heal up a little faster. The Warp Person now really low, has to get away, and it's very dangerous. Oh, the long range Warpin. Oh, that is huge! That is a huge pick there from eXo.XtinC. That's 600 gas down the drain. The 2 Archons getting picked off, not really paying for itself. Absolutely unfortunate, and eXo.Specs just oversaturating his 2 bases right now, finally getting a third, and he needs to build this up. But here comes the Zerg army in full force. The Stalker still in the way and going the wrong way. That's unfortunate. He didn't actually notice that eXo.Specs is building up on top. We now have the engagement here between the 2. The Roaches trying to tank it up. Here comes the Ravager as well. Finally, a Depths might show the hand here of the Protoss, and good scouting so far from the Zerg. Move on up on top. The shield battery tried to do some damage as well, as the photon cannon. It's not going to work out in their favor. Way too many Roaches here from the Zergling side, and missile attack +1 is out and about, so these Roaches have a little more potency in their acid. Status trap there though, putting the Ravager and one of the Roaches in place, allowing the Protoss army to actually move on in. Huge Starstorms there, really ripping apart those Roaches, perfectly placed by the High Templar, using the gateways now as a macro building, macro wall from eXo.Specs. Very, very creative play here from the Protoss, allowing the gateways to warp on in, and XTinC losing so much in that fight. He lost 23, he lost 76 units so far. Been solid in this engagement. For some reason my Facebook's still on. Let me just turn that off. But so far so good right now here for the Protoss army. I love the Warpin. I absolutely love the Warpin. Just showing up in the middle, using the gateways as a funnel for those Roaches. And this composition of High Templar, Zealots, an Archon, and Immortals looking pretty strong so far. We have +1 attack as well. In the meantime, we are gonna see some focus on to what is gonna be focused on. We're gonna have the +2 on the Evo chamber, and we also have the Hydra Den in production. So what I've read the patch notes, and there have been a lot of changes in StarCraft. It looks like Roach Hydra isn't the end-all build anymore. Hydralisks have been nerfed for quite a bit in terms of their HP value. So maybe the Protoss army can capitalize. The High Templars now just floating in the backline. Also, feedback has been nerfed. It doesn't insta-kill, it's not 1:1 anymore, so it doesn't really insta-kill Medivacs and the like. Might not be able to insta-kill the Queen as well. So the High Templars, a little neutered in this fight. We'll see if we see some Robotech instead from EXo.Specs, but he has been focusing heavily on these gateways. Look how many gateways this guy has. He has, where is the gateways? He has 12 gateways in play, and these things turn into warp gates the moment you actually warp them in. Once you have warp gate researchers rule of such a QOL change that everyone has been hoping for in so long. The Protoss army not trying to go into the middle for the time being. And the 3 Zerglings now getting picked off. Unfortunate. Muscular augments are going to be out and about. And that allows the Hydralisks to actually move on a little faster. Especially on creep. I want to see the Ultralisk upgrade actually. The movement speed, if that's actually any worth. But we're not sure if we're going to reach the part of the Ultras, as we now have a 2-prong attack from the Zerg. But the Side Storms so heavily tearing apart the Zerg. You do see the Immortals trying to tank this up, and they're pretty strong against this composition. Ravagers though making it rain. The High Templar now out of desperation, turning into Archons, and here comes the recall from the Nexus point, allowing the last survivors of the Iron Strike squad to actually go on back. Charge is now upgraded, as well as +2 to both ground weapons and missile attacks, so the Zealots can move into the fight and do some damage. Hello, sup Phil? We have our EXO fight between each other, between these two. Now Archon, and I really find this funny. You see 2 High Templar going for the warp, and they just get pushed around by their like fellow army mates. It's just really cute. Like, what if you do that in real life? As we have lurkers! I didn't notice these were lurkers. I didn't know what this unit was. I didn't know what the model was. But lurkers now into play, and it's gonna be very dangerous for the Protoss to actually move on in. eXo.XtinC right now trying to make a position, but the Psy Storm's already in position there, getting rid of those lurkers as they try to burrow on in, and the lurkers can't do any damage before they burrow. Honestly, such a design flaw in the swarm. Like, if you think about it, you have this huge ass unit just moving around, and it can't even go toss some spikes out as it's unburrowed. It has to be underground. It's really weird, to say the least. But beautiful Psy Storm play so far here from EXo.Specs. Zergling army going for the wrong buy. Oh no, that is a huge mistake there from EXo.Specs. The Archon has to go on guard duty. He's gonna get no paid vacation for that because 4 probes have been taken apart. The Protoss army though, 4 bases in and going for a Zealot warp in to try and go for the harassment charge in play, getting a few drones here and there, and now a 5th base gonna come online here for EXo.XtinC. Solid so far. This looks like it's gonna be a pretty long game, unless one of these players make a vital mistake. That could have been a pretty big mistake actually from the side of EXo.Specs. He still has Desertosis on a multitude of positions for the warp gates and his frontline base. I don't know why. Is this a thing in the Philippine scene? But you guys seem to like your Artosis pylons so much. Come on, just build them up beside your vital structures as well. Maybe tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I feel like the Protoss should actually focus a little more pylons on what they deem a little more important, instead of making the row of pylons in the backline. Anyway, the Sky Toss engagement already stopped. Hello? Okay, there you go. Sorry, I lost audio a bit. Now EXo.Specs gonna move on in. The Lurker trying to get into position, just trying to tear things apart this time. The Immortals moving on in, just ripping apart as well those Hydralisks, and these Hydralisks have no way to go home. XTing though just bringing in the other bulk of his army, but when the Protoss has the army count on you, you are more or less in the shitter. Very dangerous right now here for EXo.XtinC, and he's in a pretty bad spot, losing that 5th base, not able to maximize the amount of minerals he's gonna be getting. Look at that, EXo.Specs already in the lead, but both players have so much minerals and gas to work with. We might see a swarm of Zerglings later on. The Archons are in play, protecting those Immortals from the light units, and the Immortals just tearing apart all those armored units in the backline. So it's just interesting to note that this army composition has been so potent here for eXo.Specs. Now he has to back off because it looks like the Zerg army getting in position to actually tear them apart. The spines connecting. Finally, the warp comes on in, saves the observers as well. In the meantime, we have another strike force here. Gonna be some basic gateway units, the stalkers and the zealots moving on in. And the Spore Crawler just pointless against this ground-based army. Sadly, the High Templar not using the Fly Storm. Both players actually just keeping up the A move and hoping for the best. Finally, Sty Storms come on out, and he looks like he's been saving those Sty Storms to get rid of the Hydralisks instead. Interesting. Interesting play here from eXo.Specs. Both teams losing out so much in terms of their army count. Sex with Sex now using those High Templar. Oh, perfect warp in warp. What do you call this? Perfect merge rather at the last moment. But here comes the Zerg army moving on in. The Zealots should have tried to cascade with the charge, but the warp gate now falls, and it's gonna be the third base in absolute jeopardy for the side of the Protoss. The Lurkers are in position. You never want to walk in to a spine field there. And the Hydralisk will capitalize. Let's move on into the backline, isolating this new expansion base. Hopefully, the Zerg won't be able to see it. In the meantime, in terms of the upgrades, still +2 here for the ground army. Maybe a +3 should be coming their way soon. The Zerglings getting some Adrenal Claws as well, making their potency even more so of a factor. Hive is out and about, so this is the highest tier of tech for the Zergling army. And now still in the lead in terms of units killed is eXo.Specs with those Side Storms. Look at that, tearing apart 6 in a row. But now here comes the Cascade. The Lurkers trying to get in position. The Immortals have to back off. The Zerglings will capitalize on the lack of Archons in the way. The Zealot gonna charge on in valiantly, but now he's in a lot of trouble. He's gonna fall. Both teams running out of minerals and gas so far. The Zealots now getting that cleave damage, and the Mortals will be able to tear apart those Lurkers. In the meantime, here comes another set of Zealots. They get rid of another base. And this looks pretty bad here for eXo.Extinct. He doesn't have enough minerals as of the moment to actually expand once again. He's gonna take the bottom right, and the Protoss here just like a hop, skip, and a jump away. You now see a transition. eXo.Specs using the time to build up his army once again. And he's gonna move on in with those probes for the time being. Protoss and the Zerg looking for a opportunity to clash as the Hydralisks and the Lurkers now moving into the back. Gonna try to defend their expansion base. This is a vital base here for eXo. It's like if he loses this, he might not be able to mine properly in the near future, and more or less just lose out in this whole game. The Zealots now trying to back on off. The Lurkers is gonna go for a quick little chase down. The Hatchery now in dire straits, gets taken down. The Broodling is gonna do some little damage, but they're gonna fall so easily. And this is such a scary army here from eXo.Specs. The High Templars in the middle, and that auto attack from the High Templars just adding a little extra DPS to the Protoss composition. That's gonna be GG. eXo.Specs taking it and just choking the life out of eXo.Extinct.